Everybody, thank you for joining us today. My name is Alex. I'm your student success librarian. I'm currently off camera because we have a great game to play with you and great partners that are going to share a lot of info. I'd like to introduce Wendy, who is the assistant director of the Academic Success Center. And today we're going to play Jeopardy and go over a bunch of resources and information. So I'll pass it on to you.
Great. Awesome. Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Wendy Van Dellen, and I'm here today with a great game and two awesome contestants. So let's introduce our contestants. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your name.
Sure. So my name is Declan Crow. I use he, him, his pronouns. I am a group tutor with the Academic Success Center. I am a second-year student studying meteorology and Spanish.
Hey everyone, I'm Eric Warren. I'm a junior statistics major. I do one-on-one tutoring. If you ever need calc help or statistics help, you can find me there.
All right, great. Well, today we are going to play a little bit of Jeopardy. Unlike normal Jeopardy rules, contestants do not need to answer with a question, but we do have some awesome questions that our lovely contestants here are going to walk us through. So, without further ado, let's bring up the board.
Insert Jeopardy theme song.
All right. So let's just do a toss-up here. Let's start with logistics for 100, and let's see what the question is. Where is the Academic Success Center located? All right.
Second floor of Hill.
It is located on the second floor of D.H. Hill, and we can see the answer for that on the next slide.
And is that new?
So, the renovated space opened in fall of 2020. So, Eric, you control the board. So tell us, what would you like for your next category or for the next question?
Oh boy. Well, I'm going to stay away from writing the entire game. Let me tell you that. Let's go with tutoring programs for 100.
All right, tutoring programs for 100. Let's take a look at the question. What courses does the Academic Success Center offer tutoring in? All right, Declan.
The Academic Success Center offers tutoring in a lot of different courses, namely math, chemistry, and physics at most of the lower levels.
All right, great, yes. And so most 100 and 200 level math, chemistry, and physics courses are supported by the one-on-one tutoring program as well as our weekly group tutoring. And then as Eric mentioned, he also tutors statistics, so we do also support several other introductory courses. Great. All right, Declan, you have control of the board. What shall we take a look at?
I say, Wendy, let's go for tutoring programs for 200.
All right, tutoring programs for 200. Let's take a look at that question. How can I schedule a one-on-one appointment, and how often can I meet with a tutor?
So
right.
You can schedule an appointment either through the Navigate app, or you can call on the phone number that's listed on the website, or go to the front desk. You can schedule up to an hour per day per course in one-on-one tutoring, up to 2 hours per week. And, if you want to see me in particular, you know where to find me.
All right, great. Yes, let's take a look at that answer. So Eric got it right. You can use the Navigate student app. You can use the Navigate website. You can call us. Our phone number is up there. And you can also stop by the front desk. So 1 hour per day per course, up to 2 hours per week, and up to 2 weeks in advance. So if you want that statistics or math help, Eric is here to help you. He might be pretty busy, so thinking ahead can be really helpful. All right, Eric, you control the board. What shall we take a look at?
All right, let's change it up. Let's go to resources for 100.
All right, resources for 100. Let's take a look at that question. What are some traps to studying, and how can I avoid them? All right, Declan, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, there's many traps, Wendy. One of my least favorite traps is going on my phone while I'm studying. It is such a tempting thing. And having my phone right next to me at my desk is really difficult. So what I try to do is I'll use my phone for a Pomodoro technique instead, where I do 25 minutes of studying and then 5-minute break. Or what I'll do even more is sometimes just put it across the room. And there are many more traps to studying, many tiny little distractions that can derail what you're trying to learn. But it's easy to find ways to combat them through your own self-reflection and also through the resources that we have on our website.
Excellent. Yes. There are several different traps to studying. We actually have a handout on our academic skill resources page that has 9 different studying traps. We have those traps as well as some ways to avoid them. One of them can be distractions with technology. There are ways to combat that, including some different apps that you can download to your computer or your phone. Everything from the Pomodoro technique to also some apps that will block some of your access to the internet for a set period of time. Great, excellent. Declan, you control the board. What questions shall we take a look at next?
Let's go into the connections category, Wendy. We'll start 100.
All right, excellent. Connections for 100. What do we have? Where can I find assistance for courses the Academic Success Center does not offer tutoring in? All right, Declan, tell us.
Well, we offer a lot of tutoring courses to begin with, but if there's something that is not offered, a lot of different departments have different tutoring programs available too. So for example, we don't offer foreign language tutoring, but the foreign languages department does have their own tutoring programs within it. We can always help refer you to those, and we'd be happy to find out some different resources that would be available if a tutoring program isn't available.
Great. Anyone know on our website where we can find that?
That's a good question, Wendy. I don't know.
All right, I will give you the rest of that answer. But yes, we are not the only tutoring service on campus, so we try to keep track of others that are occurring. We keep track of those and have a list of them under our resources tab, find help by course. Additionally, if we do not offer something, you can also check out the Study Buddies app in the Navigate Student app. And you can basically put out an ad for a study buddy or answer an ad for a study buddy. And there's some great directions on our website, also under Find Help by Course, that you can take a look at. All right, Declan, you still have control of the board. What shall we take a look at?
You know what? I know writing is your favorite, Wendy, so let's go to 100 for writing.
All right, let's take a look. How do I schedule a writing appointment?
Uh-oh.
All right, we'll help you out. So Declan, you'll still have control of the board, but let's take a look at that answer.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. So you can follow a link on our homepage. We have some boxes at the bottom. One of them is Meet with a Writing Consultant, or on the top bar. You can select whether you're an undergraduate or a graduate student, since we have both our undergraduate writing center as well as our graduate writing center, and then you can follow the link to schedule an appointment with one of our awesome writing consultants. All right, Declan, you still have control of the board. What shall we take a look at?
We're going to go away from writing for a minute. Let's go to Logistics 200.
All right, Logistics for 200. How much does tutoring cost? All right, Eric.
Well, unless we include in the student fees you have to pay, absolutely free. Feel free to sign up for tutoring whenever you want. We'll be happy to help you. And don't ever worry about saying, oh, I can't afford tutoring, because that doesn't exist. It's a free service offered through the ASC Center.
Yep, awesome. All of our services are free, so you can access them when you feel like you would like to utilize them. Great. Eric, you have control of the board. What shall we take a look at?
Let's do some connections for 200.
All right, connections for 200. What campus partners offer drop-in hours in the Academic Success Center space?
This is all you, Eric.
That's what I figured. I'm guessing the buzzer's going off soon.
You got 3.
No, you can have a go.
All right, we have some awesome campus partners that come over and offer drop-in hours. We actually have 3 of them. We have academic advising, career counseling, and wellness coaching. So we definitely recommend that you check out their hours and utilize our campus partners that are working in our space. They're great. All right, Eric, you still have control of the board. What are we taking a look at next?
Well, because I did so well in connections for 200, I'm going to make it 300.
All right, connections for 300. How can I connect with the Academic Success Center so that I'm up to date on new service offerings? Eric.
Well, try not to find me on this because I don't have one, but I'm going to go with the Instagram account. If you want to see what's going on with the Academic Success Center, look at the Instagram account. What is it, ASC or NCSU ASC? And check that out for sure.
All right, great. We have an Instagram account. And so you can follow us for the latest updates. We also have some really excellent information about some of our tutors. I believe Declan has actually done a tutor spotlight, so you can find out a little bit more about Declan and what it's like to work at the Academic Success Center. That link is at the bottom of several of our web pages, and you can also find us at NC State ASC. All right, Eric, you have control of the board.
Well, staying away from writing for sure. Let's go to tutoring programs for 300.
All right, tutoring programs for 300. How do I get assigned to a group? All right, my group tutor, Declan, tell us about that.
This is my domain. I love group tutoring. So group tutoring, what we do is we'll send out a form to different instructors at the beginning of the semester, and you can fill out that Google form and get assigned to a group based on your course and your section number. So we try to assign students that are in the same section with the same professor, or at least the same professor. That way they are familiar with the material and they all have similar resources that we can work with. You can also come to the Academic Success Center or call if you're concerned that you can't find the group tutor sign up, and we would be happy to help you find that and get you assigned to a group as well.
Great. Yes, the form is actually on our website. It does not get sent out, but that is a way that you can certainly sign up for it. We'll ask you some questions about the course you're taking and the instructor you have. As Declan mentioned, you get assigned to a group based on your instructor. While you're waiting to hear back from us, utilize our other resources as well, because we will contact you whether we are able to assign you to a group or whether we are unable to do so. All right, Declan, you have control of the board.
All right, we're going to be a little bit risky today. Let's go logistics for 400.
All right, logistics for 400. What can a peer mentor help me with? All right, Declan.
So peer mentors help with a lot of different things, primarily working on study skills, anything really that is outside of the core class material that can help you learn the class material. So one of my favorite is, again, study skills that can also help you with time management, that can help you with just generally adapting to the university. Peer mentors serve a lot of great purposes, and it's a highly recommended program from every one of my students that I've talked to that's in the program.
Great. Yep, so general study skills, and that can include a number of the different things that Declan mentioned: time management, organization, note-taking, study techniques, and many more. So if you have a goal that you're looking to meet that's related to study skills, peer mentors can help you do that. All right, Declan, you have control of the board.
All right, let us go to resources for 300.
All right, resources for 300. Do you have any test-taking tips that can help me while I'm studying?
I feel like both of us should answer that.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, sure.
We'll
Go
split
for
the
it,
points
Declan.
on that
Let's
one.
go, Declan.
We'll split
Yeah,
the
we can
points.
split
Yeah.
the points. I like that.
So like I said before, one of my favorite test-taking tips is to, while I'm studying, I should say, is to put my phone across the room and, do the Pomodoro technique. So 25 minutes on studying, 5 minutes off, and keep repeating that. Another one of my favorite study tips is to go over my notes and then make like a summary sheet. So if you ever come to an ASC program, you'll see that we do Summary Corner in many of our programs. And this is kind of like that, where we go and we summarize what we're trying to do, mainly the primary points that we think are important. I do that for my own classes, I do it for the tests, and it's been really helpful to help study so far.
Great. All right, Eric.
Yeah, I mean, everything he said is absolutely what you should do. I think something that's really cool just to help out for studying is if you schedule, especially one-on-one tutoring, we do this a lot, is going over some things that maybe you aren't as sure about. Schedule that at least a week, 2 weeks in advance before your test. Identify maybe what some of those weaknesses are, but also reinforce your strengths at the end of the day, doing some practice problems, things like that. I know I'm the math stats guy, so it's really easy to find numbers and stuff like that to help study for those types of concepts. But if you go maybe to a one-on-one tutoring, or you do peer mentoring type of thing, and understand what some of those study habits should be and what are those weaknesses and how to correct them, you should be much more prepared for a test as if you never did that. Don't wait until the last day. Trust me, we've all had those moments where we forgot about the test. Probably didn't go well for anyone. So try to do it well in advance, keep a planner of when your tests are, and just find out when you should start and how you should progress.
Funny that you should say finding new numbers and all, because I find a really helpful technique as well is to make up your own problems. So make a practice test. And we do this in a lot of our ASC programs as well, where we will say, what can you think of a test question, what kind of test question do you think would show up? And let's write that question and then solve it. It's a very helpful technique, and it's good for preparing you for what the test environment might be like.
Great. Yes. Awesome awesome techniques from your peers. We have some additional ones if you're interested in checking out any of the ones that they mentioned, that Eric and Declan mentioned. We also have some others that are on our test taking tips academic skill resources page. So we have some general test taking tips as well as some to help you with specific subjects like chemistry, physics, and math courses, which, as we mentioned, is really a lot of what we do in the Academic Success Center. All right, Declan, I know you answered, but Eric was the last to answer.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to kick it over to Eric.
As I say, if you want to control the board, I'd give it to him. All right, let's be bold since we haven't touched it yet. Let's go 500 for tutoring programs.
All right, 500 for tutoring programs. How can a student become a tutor for the Academic Success Center? All right, Eric.
Well, I would say first off, just recently going through this myself last year, you want to go under the Academic Success Center website, under employment, fill out an application if you're interested for sure. You'll just talk to someone in the Success Center, and the whole process was amazing, by the way. I'd say everyone you talk to is just absolutely amazing as you're getting into it. They're very helpful to finding what you want to do within the tutoring center. At first, you're going to start off with some one-on-one type things. Take a USC class that's offered, and then after that you're going to find what's the best thing for you. So if you want to get involved, go on the website, go into employment, fill out an application, and you should hear back from them soon.
All right, great. Yes, so we actually have a Go link for you to find that employment page. So go.ncsu.edu/ASC-employment. It has some information if you're interested in becoming a tutor or a peer mentor, and has some information about requirements, application process, and timeline. And then we'll call you in for an interview if we like what we see on your application. All right, great. Eric, you still have control.
Yeah, and I guess I want to lose it, so I'll go to writing programs to...
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'll go to writing programs for 200.
All right.
We are not writers.
No.
Do I have to wait until my paper is finished to make a writing appointment? All right, Declan.
As far as I know, you do not. From what I understand, you can make a writing appointment at any point, to help you come up with some ideas for your project, or really if you just have a paragraph that you need looked at even. The writing consultants would be very happy to help with that.
Yep, great. You do not need to be finished. You can come at any stage in the writing process. Writer's block, understanding an assignment, brainstorming, drafting, and revising. And sometimes we will do a number of those in one session depending on what we're looking at, because the writing process is not linear. It is something that we can sort of move back and forth in. Great. All right, Declan, what are we going to look at next?
Let's go writing 300. Why not?
Ooh.
We're on a kick.
We did well on 200. Let's try 300. Can I bring a group paper to a writing appointment? All right, Eric.
Yeah, you can. I mean, and it's something that actually I've heard that some of the writing consultants actually like, is talking with the group and figuring out what what everyone's thinking when they're writing a paper, and what the thought process is going in, and maybe how to edit it in a way to get what your final goal is. So yes, for sure, don't be afraid to have a whole group come in. If the whole group doesn't want to come in, I guess one person can as well. So yeah.
Well, you were partially correct. We do love group appointments. We just love to have all the group members there, or as many as we can possibly have. So if that group is 2 and only 1 can come, we can certainly work with that, but we would love to have the pair there. So our one request is that all members are present, if at all possible. All right, great. Okay, Eric, you are up.
All right, let's go to resources for 200.
Resources for 200. Where on the Academic Success Center's website can I find information about how to cite my sources? All right, Declan, tell us.
So I know that if you go under the resources tab, which by the way, there are a lot of helpful resources under there to begin with, particularly a lot of the peer mentoring resources I love under there. But you can also go under there and take a look. As far as I know, they have a lot of good writing resources that you can check out that only help you cite your sources, but also will help you just generally coming up with some writing ideas. And always scheduling an appointment with our writing consultants is definitely a really helpful way to find out any point in the writing stage what you can do better.
Yep, great. So we have our academic skill resources, as Declan mentioned. Those are the ones that have a lot of the test-taking tips. We also have our writing and research resources. And under that page, we have APA, Chicago, and MLA, 3 of the most popular citation styles used on campus. As mentioned, there are also a little over 50 handouts that are there that you can access that have some other information that you may be interested in. All right, Declan, what are we going to look at next?
That's a lot of information on the website, Wendy. Let's go ahead and let's do logistics for 300.
All right, logistics for 300. I have a question about one of the Academic Success Center's tutoring programs. Who can I contact? All right, Declan.
So you can definitely go ahead and go up to our desk that we have at the Academic Success Center, the front desk. Her name is Maggie. She's wonderful. And she would be happy to help you with any of the programs. You can also send an email to academic-success@ncsu.edu. They would be happy to help you, and you can always give us a call, and that would also be direct you to Maggie, and they would be very happy to find a program that would work for you.
Excellent. Yes. You can feel free to stop by the desk. You can feel free to call us. You can feel free to send us an email, and that information will be filtered through our staff who's monitoring those emails and phones Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. On the weekends, it is periodic, but Monday through Friday, yep, we are here for you. All right, Declan, we have a couple of 400 and 500 questions left.
All right, let us do, let's see, resources for 500.
All right, resources for 500. We're going to be risky. What can I do after I get my first test back? All right, Eric.
So this can be a common answer going on the website for sure. You want to look under some test resources things. There's actually 2 different types of test resources where you can open those up, go through the test. Actually, one of those things is, and this is just for a one-on-one tutoring thing, and maybe peer mentors and group tutors do this as well, is we actually go over this with you and to try to get an understanding of how to maybe do better on your tests and things like that through an analysis that's on the website. So feel free, if you are scheduled to do tutoring of some sorts anytime soon, to print that out for your next session, and we can go over that with you.
Yeah, great. We have 2 resources that will help you analyze your test. As mentioned, we have these under the academic skill resources. We have our test analysis course resources inventory, which allows you to go through and figure out, you know, what do I have? Oops, we went forward one too many. What do I have available? Yep, there we go. What do I have available for my course? So I have a textbook, I have notes, I have all of these different resources. And then the study method inventory is where it will basically help you think about what are you looking at before you go in for your exam. Am I looking only at my notes? Am I looking only at my textbook? And that will help you figure out where those problems came from, because those problems typically don't come out of nowhere. They may come from your notes, they may come from your textbook. So it will help you figure out some of those good logistics so that you can hopefully figure out what that will look like for the next test and what you need to study. All right, Eric, so what are we going to look at next?
Let's finish off logistics for 500.
All right, logistics for 500. Where can I find information about when my supplemental instruction or SI session is held and how SI is different from tutoring? All right, Declan.
So first of all, I'll start by definitely recommending the SI program. By far one of our best programs. They're all good, but SI is very helpful because it works directly with the instructor that you're working with, and you can get some kind of extra practice problems, some extra things to help you with your studying. If you go onto the website, as we've mentioned a lot before, we have a lot of things on there, and you scroll down, we have a bunch of little blocks at the bottom. And you can click on the SI block, and that'll give you some information about the SI sessions, when they're available, who the SI leader is. You can also talk to your instructor. A lot of them will know who the SI leader is, and they can direct you to their SI leader for that course.
Great. Yes, so we have our SI tab or our SI block that you can go to that will give you some information about how SI is different from tutoring. SI is not traditional tutoring, but it is an international program that has been proven to potentially raise grades by a half to a full letter grade with consistent usage. So I would definitely check it out. And as mentioned, there's some information about when sessions are occurring, and your instructor, if it is attached to your course, will also have that information typically in the syllabus or on their Moodle page. All right, Declan, what are we going to look at next?
All right, let us go to tutoring programs for 400.
Tutoring programs for 400. That will finish off that category as well. How can I find out the drop-in tutoring schedule for the Academic Success Center? All right, Eric.
I feel like I keep saying it, but you go back to the website and there's going to be a tab that you click on. There's a drop-in tab that you're going to find. Or if you go to the homepage, there's the block where you're going to see a bunch of different things offered by the ASC. Click the drop-in one. You can find what those courses are. They're having drop-in, so there's like a math day, for example. And then you can find out what that day is and when those hours are offered. Those drop-in sessions, they take place at the same exact place as all the other tutoring sessions as well.
Yep. Great. So second floor of D.H. Hill Junior Library, we hold drop-in. Traditionally in the evenings, sometimes on Sunday afternoons. However, it is important to go to the schedule as mentioned because we don't support every subject on every day. So you do want to know if you're coming in for a math course, if it's being supported on that day. Okay, Eric, we have 5 questions left. What are we going to look at?
I'll be bold and go back to writing for 4.
Alrighty, writing for 400. Where on our website can I find information about writing a lab report?
You want to take this one, Eric?
Well, looks like I'm going to have to try my best.
All right, sounds good.
I am not a writing person, if you couldn't figure that out. But what I will say is, obviously go on the website first. You always start off there. You're going to go under the writing section. And then there's a section under there. I think there's a subsection. It has to do with like writing lab reports and stuff like that. You click on that. And then basically there's some helpful tools and hints on there of like, what's the best way to write a lab report? Or maybe if you need some advice on it, there's like, try to get someone to help you through some type of ASC service. I mean, it's just, that's kind of the best way to go about it at that point. I would say read everything on there first, and then if you still need some help with some things, schedule an appointment.
Yep. So kind of similar as you mentioned with the test analysis, we can also go over the handout with them. But writing and research resources page where those over 50 handouts are located. We actually have 2 resources. One is one of our handouts, Scientific Lab Reports, has a lot of great information. A little bit further down under NC State offices, clubs, and courses, we also have LabRite, which is an NC State, was created, I think, by an NC State instructor. So we have a lot of great information about that. All right, going back to the board.
Yeah, let's just finish off writing. I mean, I think Declan and I will be quite happy with that one.
All right, how can a student become a writing consultant for the Academic Success Center? All right, Declan.
Well, from what I am familiar with, I believe it's very similar to the process for other tutors like Eric and I are. If you go, I believe, to the NCSU ASC employment Go link that we had before, you can check it out there, and you can always fill out an application, indicate that you're interested in a writing consultant, and they would be happy to help you from there.
Yep, cool. We do have a Go link. It's a slightly different Go link, go.ncsu.edu/become a writing consultant. But same type of information is up there as with the tutoring program, which is information about the requirements, the application process, and the timeline. And then, of course, once you submit your application, we'll make a determination about whether we are calling you in for an interview. So, very exciting process. Obviously, you all went through it. It was good. It worked.
There's nothing to be scared about.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, Wendy, like everything, we called it an interview, but it's really more of just like learning about you, and it's not like a job interview. Don't be scared about anything like that. If anything, it's more of a fun process, just to understand who everyone is and, have them understand who you are.
Yeah, they're all very kind. Everybody at the ASC is very kind. They're willing to just hear about who you are and what you want to do to help the students of the campus.
Yeah. And if nothing else, it's good practice, right? So
very much.
Practice for the future. All right, Eric, I think we're still with you. If I'm not, nope, sorry, we're with Declan.
Okay.
All right, so we have 3 questions left.
All right, let's go resources for 4.
All right, resources for 4, and we'll finish off that one. My instructor mentioned Purdue OWL. Do you have a link that will point me to their website? All right, Eric.
Short answer, yes, because if you couldn't figure it out by now, the ASC has a lot of resources. This is just one of them as well. Yeah, you're going to go on the website again, under with writing. There's going to be something to do with just, the formatting and stuff like that. Purdue IL's on there. You can just go under the website under writing. So.
Yep. Yeah, so writing and research resources, again, there's a link a little bit further down under useful links or useful websites, and there is a great link there for you. If you're looking at our general writing pages, which have been mentioned a couple of times, there's also a link that says Need Help Now. Check out our online resources, and that will also link you to our writing and research resources. All right, we have 2 left. They're both under connections, 400 and 500. So what shall we take a look at?
Alex, whichever one you want to click on, we'll go for it.
Let's do connections.
Connections for 500. All right, as a non-native speaker, where can I find informal practice speaking English? I think you buzzed in, Declan.
I did buzz in.
All right.
Sorry.
Nope, that's good.
So I would say definitely there are a lot of, there's, obviously a lot of English speakers on campus everywhere you go. So you can perhaps go to some club meetings, go to really anything that you would like, because most things are going to be in English around campus. You can also talk to the Foreign Languages Department. I know that they do have a lot of resources for non-native English speakers as well. They have a lot of practice things that they can do. I believe their tutoring program has some practice resources available that you can check out if you're wanting to practice your English, or if you're wanting to practice any other language as well. So definitely feel free to check out the campus around you, and I'm sure that you'll find some things that will be really helpful.
Yes, awesome. All really great suggestions. There's also the English Conversation Club, which offers, which is a club specifically dedicated to just kind of speaking informally. So that is also on the Writing and Research Resources page. You can get connected to them, find out more about how you can utilize that as a resource and talk to other native English speakers as well as some non-native English speakers that are working on learning English, and just have some informal conversations with folks and learn more about the campus. All right, we have one left. I think there's like a da-ding, da-ding, da-ding. All right, connections for 400 is what we have left. Or I guess that's the Jeopardy noise. Where can I find a list of NC State resources for students? So that would be resources that you can find around campus. All right, Declan.
Well, I'd say that there are probably an infinite amount of resources available, or pretty darn close to. First of all, always check out, in case you haven't already, make sure you bookmark the ASC website because there's a lot going on there. You can always check out the ASC website, and there are a lot of academic resources available there. You can also check out any kind of resource that you would be interested. For example, if you're interested in clubs, you can go to the student involvement page. They have a lot of clubs there. You can go pretty much anywhere you want. If you type in like resources NC State, I'm sure like 1,000 web pages would come up with a lot of different resources. So we have pretty much anything that you could want and anything that you can find. I'd say definitely go ahead and check them out and take use of them.
Yeah, great. And if you're looking for a short list, it is certainly not an all-encompassing list, but we do have some that we frequently suggest that students use and recommend to them. So we've compiled a list of those under other NC State resources, which is under our resources tab. Alrighty, so if we head back to the board, that means we are down to Final Jeopardy. What is the score, Alex?
It's been a really tight race, Wendy, and we are at 3,500 for Eric and 3,400 for Declan. So you have 3,500 to wager, 3,400.
All
Well,
right.
what my saying is, Alex, I played poker my entire life. You go all in on the last one.
You are a statistics man.
Yep, all in.
All in. How
You know
much
what?
would you like to wager?
I will trust the statistics, and I will say I'm going all in.
All
All right,
Yes,
we're
I
all
love it.
in, all across the board. Let's
Maybe
see.
we'll tie.
Best of luck.
All right, Final Jeopardy. So we have wagered our points. All in, all across the board. And we have a true false. I have to be struggling in order to use Academic Success Center services. Think about your response. All right, we'll start with Eric. What
Oh,
do
boy.
we think?
Well, it's definitely false. I mean, first off, don't feel like you have to be struggling to get help. There are plenty of times, even myself, as a tutor, I still try to get help in subjects where I might think I understand, but I'm not 100% sure. And you might be doing really well in a class, but you want that extra practice just in case, maybe before a test or something like that. For sure, schedule something, do something through ASC. Even if you don't feel like you're struggling, totally recommend it because it'll probably help you out more than you probably can even imagine. Just from my own experience of doing it before, I find it really helpful, and that statement is really false. So definitely, definitely schedule an appointment. If you are struggling, definitely schedule an appointment as well. But if you're not struggling, don't feel you don't have to. Like, we have these resources for all students for a reason. Take advantage of them.
Yep, great. All right. Declan, agree, disagree?
I 1000% agree with what Eric said.
So it is false.
It is completely false. If you feel like you are just wanting a little bit of extra support, you can come to the ASC at any time. For example, in group tutoring, we love to have people who maybe just want some support down the road, but they're not exactly sure what they need. We love to get people who just want some extra practice, aren't necessarily struggling, but just need a little bit of extra help. And I know that one-on-one and every other program feels the same way. Definitely come by if you have any inkling that you want to come by. You don't have to. If you feel like it's not a good use of your time, of course, don't feel pressured to. But if you do feel like it would be helpful for you, come by at any point, and we would love to find a program that fits you.
You are both correct. It is false. You do not have to be struggling in order to use our services. Everyone can benefit from working collaboratively with somebody else and really just using our resources. As mentioned, there are a lot of them to help cement concepts that will potentially help you in future courses as well as maybe in your professional life. So there's a lot that you can utilize. Well, that is the end of our game. Thank you for playing, Eric and Declan. What do they get, Alex?
They were tied at the end just for both being overall awesome. And
Yay.
you get access to all the library's resources at all times.
Yes.
Yay.
Also free.
Also free.
Perfect.
But I just want to say thank you. The Academic Success Center is such a great resource. I'm so happy that you guys are here with us in the libraries. We've had a bunch of students come up and say, hey, I'm looking for help with tutoring, and to just be able to point them up to the second floor is absolutely amazing. And yeah, we just look forward to growing more with you into the space.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the libraries and we've recommended folks down to you all as well. So
Definitely.
yeah, it's been a great cross recommendation.
And I just want to reiterate to definitely check out these resources, whether you're struggling or not, especially at the beginning of the semester, so you can kind of plan out like, all right, I have a midterm here, maybe 2 weeks before I set up an appointment. Maybe I check out some tech that'll help me with that project in the library, get some help. We're here for you. And we're doing a lot of really cool things throughout the semester, so definitely check us out.
Great.
The website seems to be the strongest resource. The same for us.
Yep. Yep. There's a lot that you can get to, as mentioned. We have resources you can access 24/7.
Cool. I'm going to say goodbye.
Yeah.
And just thank you for our guests again. You guys are welcome back anytime.
Thank you so much.
All
Thank
right.
you, Alex.
Thank
Thank you, Alex.